Hey everybody, welcome to the breakdown, Mr. Keelan. Today we're going to be doing the first article that you received on the lead up to the Articles of Confederation. Um, we will be doing videos like this for the packet of work that you received. Eventually we're going to be just doing straight video lessons and you'll be doing responses to those. But while we're getting everything set up through Google Classroom and making the transition into a digital class, you're going to be working off of that packet. So hopefully by this time you've read the article, and this is just a little bit of information to complement on it. So first, you might notice the picture next to me is a painting that is in the Capitol building, and it's from it's depicting the Battle of Yorktown, the surrender at Yorktown. We'll get more into the significance of that later, or we have when we talked about the battles of the Revolution. But the most important thing is essentially this is what seals America's independence, and you see underneath the British soldiers surrendering to the American one was Washington watches in the foreground with the American flag is the question. Now what? Now what do we do? What's going on? We won our independence. We fought the war, and now we are on our own. So what the heck do we do? Well, they had to start a new government. After the Treaty of Paris, U.S., even though it had declared its independence in 1776, was officially an independent country once the British recognized that they were a nation and gave up all claim to them. So now, what do we do? A lot of argument. There are many contrasting views to what people thought that we should make. But there was a number of fears that kind of led them to create a government that we're going to see is pretty weak with the Articles of Confederation. Remember, they just fought a war against the British government. They just fought a war against a very powerful king and parliament. So each of the individual states were fearful that a strong central government, a strong national government, would basically infringe on them. We just broke away from a strong government. We don't want a strong government again. So they were very much worrisome of a strong, powerful government. They also worked together real great during the Revolution, but you have to remember these were 13 separate colonies that are 13 states now, and they still see each other as different, as separate. And there was a lot of mistrust over, I'm from New Jersey, why should I have people from Virginia telling me what to do? So they were worried about one state having dominance over the other ones. They also feared having a central power, a central authority figure of power, like a king, what we would have today, and a president. They were afraid that this would lead to more tyranny. We just broke from King George III. We don't want King George Washington I. Just trade one king for another. So they wanted a very limited government. But in order to have a government, you have to create a constitution. What is a constitution? Well, you notice that the constitution is in italics. It's written in with a lowercase c because it's a small c constitution. The noun, which is a framework or blueprint of a government. You're going to see that it doesn't really, it's not like, all right, we're independent. Now here's our constitution. It took a lot. First, the Continental Congress, with its 13 delegates from the colonies, gave some equality of votes. We'll see some of that idea eventually in the U.S. Senate in the Constitution. Then the Continental Congress said to the the states, you should make a constitution. And they each were working during the war on drafting a framework of government for their own state. And there's a lot of common features from state to state. Each one was a bit different. But we're going to see that within these state constitutions, there's going to be a number of ideas that are going to be the seed for the blueprint of our government in the U.S. Constitution. For example, one, the idea of popular sovereignty was really important in almost every state constitution. This idea that people have the right to rule themselves. We see that in the U.S. Constitution with the preamble and the three words that start it, we the people, saying that we own the government, we're the boss. That's an idea that we saw in the state constitutions and continues in the U.S. Constitution eventually. Um, Protection of natural rights, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, most notably, as you saw in the article, freedom of religion. They talked about not having establishment or established church, freedom to exercise religious beliefs. A lot of the, especially in Virginia, we're going to see a lot of the ideas in their Constitution and Bill of Rights will eventually become part of our Constitution. And lastly, something that will become a big feature of the U.S. Constitution is they set up a bicameral legislature. Remember, a legislature is the lawmaking body. That means that bicameral has two chambers or two houses. Just like the U.S. Congress in the Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution has the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. If you're wondering what the bell ringing is, my cat. With each of this, we're going to see that since each state had its own constitution and made a really strong base of power within them, that desire to keep control within their state and not have a national government, a strong central government, would persist. And we're going to see that that lack of central government is going to make the U.S. as a nation fairly weak, whereas it's going to make each of the 13 individual states relatively strong. So it's going to be a challenge. Oh, there's the cat. Hey, Scamper. It's going to be a challenge to figure all that out. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you get the assignment done. Remember, shoot me on Remind if you have any questions. Also on Google Classroom. I'll still be checking Edmodo, but I'm going to be processing out of that. See you guys later. Bye-bye. Scamper.